पत्यपत्यागृहात्मकम् दैवोपसादितं मृत्युम् मृगयोर्गायनं यथा तमात्मनो विजानीयात् Okay, let's look at the word-to-word meaning. Tam, the Lord's Maya. Atmanaha, of herself. Vijaniyat, she should know. Pati, husband. Apatya, children. Griha, Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. A woman, therefore, should consider her man, but man is also the gateway to hell for woman. It is a question of attachment. A man becomes attached to a woman because of her service, her beauty, and many other assets. And similarly, a woman becomes attached to a man for his giving her a nice place to live, ornaments, dress, and children. It is a question of attachment for one another. As long as either is attached to the other for such material enjoyment, the woman is dangerous for the man, and the man is also dangerous for the woman. But if the attachment is transferred to Krishna, both of them become Krishna conscious, and then marriage is very nice. Srila Rupa Goswami therefore recommends Anasaktasya Vishayan Yatarham Upayunjataha Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yuktam Vairagyam Uchyate. Man and woman should live together as householders in relationship with Krishna only for the purpose of discharging duties in the service of Krishna. Engage the children, engage the wife, and engage the husband, all in Krishna conscious duties. And then all these bodily or material attachments will disappear. Since the Vara medium is Krishna, the consciousness is pure and there is no possibility Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Let's do Mangalacharan. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Ena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Ena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Bhutar Mahadvirya Ima Puro Vibhu Nirmaya Shete Yadamosha Purusha Bhunte Gunam Shodasha Shodasatmaka Solam Krishishta Bhagavan Vachamsi Me Shri Krishna Sharanam Sharanagatam Katha Amritam Satata Pibatam Bhakti Vedanta Marga Panktanam Sarvalokarishi Deva Janna Prasannam Sarvalokarishi Deva Janna Prasannam. Hare Krishna. Welcome again to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam. So with the blessings of Shri Shri Radha Gopinath, let us glorify their lordships for their pleasure, and by doing so we also get pleased, being immersed in Shri Krishna's pleasure, and we get purified, and let us please Srila Prabhupada. So we are continuing to hear the instructions of Kapila Muni to Mother Devahuti. And currently in a set of 9 verses, that is from text 34 to 42, we are hearing from Kapila Muni on this topic of man-woman, attraction and attachment. And through Srila Prabhupada's purpose, we are trying to understand how to deal with this attachment. Because it is something that is very natural. It is given by Prakriti. It is Krishna's energy that is coming into this material world through the living entities, through the jivas, through Prakriti. So Krishna's energy is experienced here in this material world also through the living entities. So this man-woman attraction is something that cannot be denied. It is there. It is not like a switch. You know, we just put it on and then put it off, it goes. It doesn't work like that. It's not so easy. So what we are learning is how to deal with it, how to address it in the right spirit, in the Krishna conscious way. And in today's verse, which is a sort of a culminating verse on this topic, Srila Prabhupada gives us a beautiful conclusion on how to transfer this attachment to Sri Krishna and how to keep Krishna in the center of a relationship, even in a relationship between a man and a woman who are married. So in a marital relationship, how to keep Krishna in the center of one's life. And as a family, when everyone simply serves for the pleasure of Krishna, then we can see that such a spiritual and nourishing relationship, which is centered, which is grounded in the service of Krishna for the Lord's pleasure, can actually award one pure consciousness. And therefore, when one develops love for Krishna through a gradual advancement, then there is no fear of falling down or being degraded at any point in time. So that is the concluding beautiful crux of this whole series of verses, and Srila Prabhupada is giving us this understanding. So in the last few classes, we have been hearing from various speakers on their perspective on this topic based on Srila Prabhupada's teachings. And unanimously, everyone has been giving us an understanding on how to view this topic contextually. Because we are reading very powerful statements. That is, woman is a gateway to hell for a man. And then we are hearing, man is a gateway to hell for a woman. Now, these are all very strong statements. So, if we don't see them through Shastra Chakshu, that is through the Shastric understanding, if we simply took them literally, then we might misapply them in our life. And that can lead to a lot of chaos, even in dealing with each other in this world in general. So we also saw that, over the last few classes, His Grace Radhika Prasad Prabhuji, His Grace Partha Prabhuji, Toshan Krishna Prabhuji, Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji, Shama Priya Mataji, Adi Purush Prabhuji. I just want to mention all their names because all of them have enlightened us on this topic. Because when I just read this verse, when I knew it was my turn to give the class, I was a little bit just thrown out of place. I was wondering, what am I going to speak about this verse which says that man is the cause of a death for a woman? It's just, when you just look at those words, it can be very bewildering. But then when we try to understand by hearing from advanced devotees, then we get the right understanding. So Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji was saying that how we see these verses contextually. And he said that there are three ways to look at any verse. If we absolutize them, that is, this is it and there is nothing else, then that is also not the right view. And if we relativize it, that is, if we say, I will take whatever suits me and I will leave out the rest, then even that is on the other extreme. Then even that is not right. But then when we contextualize it, we are getting a balanced view of the verse. So today's verse seemingly looks like contradiction to what is said in Srimad Bhagavatam in other places. Because we see in other places in Srimad Bhagavatam where it is said that a woman should always remain under the shelter and protection of a man. It is said that a woman should stay under the care of her father during her childhood. And then when she grows up, she should be under the protection of her husband. And then in her old age, she should be under the care and protection of her children. So we see all this, and then in today's verse we are saying that man is the cause of death for a woman, which is on the other side of the pendulum. So now we have to see how to understand these verses. Where is it coming from? Who is speaking? In what context are they saying? So if we look at the context of this verse, Kapila Muni is giving these instructions to Mother Devahuti. When, at which point in time is he giving this? So Mother Devahuti and Kardama Muni, they were married, and Devahuti served her husband Kardama Muni with such intimacy, with such love, with such care, with such devotion and austerity. And after many, many thousands of years of living together and enjoying together, now Kardama Muni created a whole aerial mansion, and both of them traveled around the whole universe. They even enjoyed in pleasure groves and with, all the pleasures that one can enjoy. Now, after all that enjoyment, after having 9 daughters and a son who is Kapila Muni, when Kardama Muni has renounced, Mother Devahuti is now left lost in the absence of her husband. Because after so much sensual enjoyment, she's now bereft of all that pleasure. And in that mood, she is openly talking to her son. And she's saying that I'm completely disturbed by my senses. So what does Mother Devahuti say? She says, Devahuti ruvacha nirbinna nitaram bhuman asad indriya darshanat ena sambhavyamanena prapannandam tama prabho. So she's saying that all these senses are disturbing me and I'm lost in ignorance. How do I come out of this? So we can see the context of this question. Now, for example, when a patient goes to a doctor, now a patient might go with different types of illnesses. Now, say when someone has a cold, they're sneezing all the time. They go to the doctor and they say, I'm down with a cold. Now, the doctor might say, please have hot soup. Do not have anything yogurt. Do not have anything cold. Don't drink cold juices. And then say, for example, when someone has a stomach ache and when they go to the doctor would say, just have some curd rice. Do not have anything spicy or hot. Or just go, empty stomach. So, the instructions given by the doctor to different patients is different. It is not just one instruction. He doesn't give just one advice to all the patients and put all of them into one box. So, when Mother Devahuti has come with the question, with an eagerness to know about self-realization, she has come to know how to come out of the cycle of birth and death. At this point, Kapila Muni is not going to say, husband is everything, husband is your Lord, worship him. Kardama Muni has already left for the forest, and this is going to create more agony for Mother Devahuti. So in this context, Kapila Muni is speaking about the cycle of birth and death, starting from material creation. He is now speaking about how the living entity, after being born, goes through various desires at different stages in life. And then, now he's coming to the point of saying that between a man and a woman, or any living entities, whatever desires they have, how does one address that and get past those sensual attachments? So this is the context in which Kapila Muni is speaking. So in looking at today's verse, we have to see what kind of a man, what kind of wealth, what kind of house, what kind of children is the cause of a death for a man. So a man who cannot support and assist his wife on the path of her spiritual journey. A man who disrespects and ill-treats the wife, who neglects or who rejects her because she is spiritually inclined. A man who is interested only in his materialistic pursuits of simply acquiring more and more money for his egoistic pleasures. A man who simply wants to use a woman for his sexual desires only. A man who wants to just, focus on his own egoistic needs. Now, such a man is certainly a gateway to hell for a woman. Because here we are speaking about the spiritual path, which is nourishing, where one places Krishna in the center of one's life. So by ignoring Krishna, when a man is trying to exploit a woman, then such a man, or even such a woman who tries to exploit a man should be given up. So that is what we are hearing in these set of verses. So let's reflect a little bit on this topic of marriage and grihasthashram, what it means, why is it relevant, and how it can enhance one's spiritual life when properly applied and understood. Now at this point I'd like to share that I'm not an expert, or I don't have the experience or the qualification to really comment on this topic. But having said that, I'm just sharing and humbly conveying whatever I've heard from Srila Prabhupada's teachings, from our acharyas, and from the previous speakers who have spoken on this topic. And I would also like to quote extensively from Mother Devaki, who has given us very, very insightful understanding and thoughts on this topic. So, Mother Devaki, in her book on entering grihasthashram, she says that a mere marriage is not an ashram until Krishna is brought as the center of the married life. Now, she is saying this also from what she has heard from Srila Prabhupada, from our previous acharyas. And Mother Devaki says, a grihasthashram is a place for self-realization. It involves a certain lifestyle where Srimad Bhagavatam and the holy name are the very center. our first priority in life. So when one places Srimad Bhagavatam and chanting of the holy name as the center of one's life, then that is the Grihastha ashram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And she says, we have to build our family life based on these essential aspects of devotional life. It is not a cheap or an easy thing to do. So very clearly we are trying to understand the foundation of a Grihastha life. So it is not like it is not like just a fairy tale. It is not whimsical. What we see in movies. People get married and then they just live happily ever after. And then what you see in between is that they are only engaged in their own sensual pleasures, and then that leads to a lot of, we see all the little, tribulations and things that come along with it. So let us look at why people get married. What are the different reasons? Let us look at the Vedic view and the materialistic view. And let us try to get a spiritual understanding. So in ancient times, we saw that kings used to get married to princesses, or kings would give their sons or daughters in marriage to another prince or a daughter because they want to get that kingdom. So they had some motive there, because they wanted to expand their own kingdom. Through these marriages, they would attain more kingdoms for themselves, so that they can rule all those kingdoms. So that was also there in our ancient history. And then we see why people get married. Simply to fulfill their sexual desires. They want wealth, or they want to look after their aging parents. They want someone to care for their parents. And therefore a man might get a wife, or a girl might get a husband. Or someone might be experiencing loneliness and they want the other person to fill that vacuum in their life. Just because they are lonely and they don't know what to do with themselves, they want to just pick up a husband or a wife who can just fulfill that need for them. Or they want to have children because they know that children will look after them when they grow old. So again, they have a need. They want, I want my children to look after me, and therefore I'll get married, I'll have children, and then they will look after me. Or in these days, we see extremes. People want permanent residence, people want visa, people want citizenship, and therefore they just get married. Someone from Australia gets married to someone in one of the countries from where they cannot easily enter into Australia, and therefore marriages happen because they simply want to get the other person here and, give them citizenship. So in all of these, we are seeing that people have egoistic needs. They want to fulfill one's lustful needs. And the focus is only on taking. What do I want? What am I getting in this? Now, a slightly higher reason why people might why people might get married, it could be a focus on giving. Because someone genuinely wants to give their love and compassion to another person. we see people falling in love. They get attracted, or for various reasons, and then they feel that oh, this person needs some help, so let me marry that person. It could be a girl marrying a boy or a boy marrying a girl. Let me help that person. So with that compassion, I want to marry this person. Or to support them in their life, to emotionally, to mentally, to physically, to financially be there for the other person, and to look after their needs at various levels. So the focus here is simply on caring for the other person and caring for their children when that comes in. Now, the highest principle of a marriage or a grihastha life, according to highest Krishna conscious standards, is a marriage that is focused on caring and giving our love and pleasure for Krishna, for serving him with love, and through that cooperation between each other, between the partners, serving and assisting the partner in their service to Krishna, supporting and inspiring each other's spiritual journey. When one serves Krishna, then Krishna is pleased, and automatically Krishna bestows his blessings, and the couple will naturally be nourished with mutual love and respect for each other. And here what happens? The partners take a humble position. It is not about what I take from the other person, what I want the other person to do for me all the time. And it is not just what do I give all the time, but it is what do we give Krishna, and through that we are not expecting, but Krishna gives us out of his own sweet will and pleasure. So here the partners take a humble mood of becoming a servant of the other partner. So it is no more on the platform of exploitation, of controlling. So the husband takes a submissive mood to serve the wife, and the wife takes a submissive mood to serve the husband. So now that doesn't mean the husband thinks, oh, my wife is a servant. Or the wife doesn't think my husband is a servant. But each thinks that they are a servant of the other person. Now my partner is a gift from Krishna. This person is a son or a daughter of Krishna who has been given to me to be under my shelter and care and love and protection. So let's imagine we are getting a whole human being who is a gift from Krishna. How should we handle that? How should we handle Krishna's blessing? How should we handle Krishna's gift? With utmost love and care and gratitude. So then what happens? The man or the wife is not a gateway to hell, but the man or the woman is a gateway to taking us to Krishna's lotus feet. So in the Dhamma, and there what we see is when we are assisting and serving each other, we are imbibing the mood of the gopis. Gopi bhartu padakamalayur dasa dasano das, which is the highest principle of Krishna consciousness. And when we place Krishna in the center of our life, then all our activities are centered around pleasing Krishna. So in the Damodar Leela, we see, soon Damodar month is coming. And what did Mother Yashoda do as she was churning yogurt? Was she just focused on, oh, I'm making this butter for my husband. He has to go for work, and therefore I have to make this quickly and just give it to him. No, she was focused on remembering Krishna as she was churning the yogurt. So what is it said in Srimad Bhagavatam? Ekada grihadasishu yashodananda gehini karmantara niyuktasu nirmamanta swayam dhadi yani yani hagitani tadbala charitani cha dadi nirmantane kale smaranti tanya gayata. One day, when Mother Yashoda saw that all the maidservants were engaged in other household affairs, she personally began to churn the yogurt, and while churning, she remembered the childhood activities of Krishna, and in her own way, she composed songs and enjoyed singing to herself about all those activities. So this is how a grihastashram should be. When one is cooking, we think about Krishna's pastimes. When one is cleaning the house, we can sing a kirtan for Krishna. We can hear a lecture. When one is doing any other household chores, we are washing dishes, putting clothes for drying, go out, taking the sunlight. So when we put the clothes for drying and we look at the sun, we can think, oh, this is Krishna. Sun is Krishna himself. So like that, in every aspect of our life, we try to bring in the remembrance of Krishna. Then Grihastha life becomes peaceful and happy. And both partners can be engaged. The children can be engaged. The parents can be engaged. So if one is a little bit down here, then the wife can try to bring the husband up. Or if the wife is somewhere here, then the husband can try to bring the wife up in their spiritual consciousness, in their service to Krishna. So like this, when we keep remembering Krishna in all our activities in our life, irrespective of whichever ashram we are in, whether we are in the brahmachari ashram, grihastha ashram, vanaprastha ashram, sannyasi, wherever we are, when we simply keep remembering Krishna, what happens? It is said in Srimad Bhagavatam, Yadanyudhyasina yukta karma granti nibandhanam Chindhanti kovidastasya kona kuryat kataratim. With the sword in hand, intelligent men cut through the binding knots of reactionary work or karma by remembering the personality of Godhead. Therefore, who will not pay attention to his message? So as we keep hearing Krishna Katha, what happens? We are having a sword in our hand. Now again, what does that mean? If we literally we are not holding a sword. We are holding that powerful spiritual strength in our hand, which is like a sword which can cut all our karmic reactions, which was the root cause of the soul getting into repeated birth and death, as we saw in the previous chapters. So by constantly hearing about Krishna, slowly our material desires also get cleansed. Shrinvatam swakatha Krishna punya shravana kirtanaha hridyantasto hyabadrani vidunoti suhrit satam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. So, we saw earlier that people are at various levels when they get married. Now, people have material desires. People have sensual desires. Now, these are not things that we can just negate and suppress and say, oh, I'm a pure devotee, I don't have any desires. It's not like that. And yesterday, Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji was explaining beautifully that we cannot reference others from our point of view. Now, someone might be very angry, say at a scale of 10. And by practicing Krishna consciousness, that person's anger might have come down to 2% or something like that, which is a great advancement. Now, another person may have had his anger and sensual desires and passion and all that at say 500%. But then by practicing Krishna consciousness, that person's desires may have just come to the level of 100% in this life. So, we are still carrying those desires. But then that is a big advancement for that person. From 500%, he has come to 100%. And then slowly as one keeps practicing, it will come down and come down and down and down. We don't know. It could be in this life or one may have to take another life. That is Krishna's will. So we cannot reference them from our perspective and say, oh, why is that person still getting angry? That person is practicing Krishna consciousness for so many years, but then still he or she has desires. So we cannot make those judgments. We don't know where they are in their point of their spiritual journey. So that is between them and Krishna. So here we are saying that as we keep hearing Krishna Katha, Krishna cleanses our material desires for sensual enjoyments. So then slowly we are trying to get purified. So another important aspect of Grihastha life is serving Vaishnavas, devotees, and supporting those in other ashrams. And importantly, serving Srimad Bhagavatam and the holy name, chanting of the holy name. So by serving one's Guru, by inviting Vaishnavas and devotees to one's home, by organizing Krishna conscious programs, by serving Prasadam, by giving Krishna consciousness to others, and by serving devotees with love, with care, one gets slowly purified. And we also saw that it is important to serve Srimad Bhagavatam in one's house. So when Srimad Bhagavatam is at the center of one's life, then what happens? We all know what happens. What do we chant at the beginning of Bhagavatam class? Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. So the Grihastha life gives one an opportunity to gradually elevate oneself on their spiritual path. So, by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, we are saying here that all that is troublesome to the heart is destroyed. So by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, and when a couple, when they are just entering the Grihastha life, now also all their anarthas will be surfacing. All their deficiencies will be coming up to the surface. Because it is said, we very often hear, a person while observing from a distance, you see one side of the person. When you go closer, you get to know a little bit more about them. But then when you actually live with them, when you actually get married, that's when you see the complete true nature and true color of a person. Because we might think that someone is so advanced or someone is not advanced. But then when you actually start to live, when you actually start to serve, then we see all the negative and the positive points coming up to the surface. So Devaki Mataji says in her book, while making ghee, all the bubbles foam up and the milk solids come on top. Have you seen that? When we make ghee, has anyone made ghee? Yes? You have? Okay. So when you start heating the butter and the butter will melt, and what happens on the top, you will see a layer of foaming. All the milk solids, they come on top. Now we have to pay so much careful attention that we don't burn the ghee. Because if you leave it a little longer, what will happen? All the milk solids and the salt that is there in the ghee will start burning at the bottom. And you will see a big dark layer that is left at the bottom. So the making of a ghee involves such care and attention when you're making it. So like that, when one enters a grihasthashram as partners, all our negative qualities might also surface up. And at that time, we have to be very, very careful. We have to be attentive. We have to be patient. We have to be tolerant. Because we have to understand, or one has to understand, that the other person is not an all-perfect human being. He is not Krishna. He or she is a part and parcel of Krishna. So we bring with us Krishna's positive qualities in a minute measure, and through our past karmic reactions, we bring in a whole baggage of negative qualities as well. But then, by being engaged in the path of serving Krishna, we are getting cleared, we are getting purified of all this. So, in the Grihasthashram, the partners have to be patient with each other when they get started, until they understand each other, until they both settle into a nice equilibrium of understanding each other, of serving Krishna, of serving each other with love and care. So, alright, there are just so many points. I will try to quickly go through them. So, a part of the Grihastha life is also that while engaging in serving Krishna, one has to also look after each other's needs at various levels. So it is not like, I'm just doing everything. I will make bhoga, I will give it to Krishna, and then I will take it, I will eat it, I will go. And then the other person, you go, you do this, and that's it. No. One serves prasad to each other, one cooks together, one serves each other, one looks after the other with love and care. So there are needs at various levels, emotional, mental, physical, financial, you name it, whatever. Everything is a big package. So a marriage doesn't come just as a, $20 one object you're buying from the shop. A marriage is a whole package deal. There is like a whole lot of things involved. It is not just very easy. So there are so many needs. But then how does one view it? They see it as this person is engaged in serving Krishna, and therefore I have to look after this person's needs. I have to give. I have to care for their body. I have to care for their emotional needs. I have to care for their, mental, intellectual, physical, financial, whatever, everything. So like that, both partners try to see what does the other person need. How can I serve? How can I fulfill that for them? So that is also an important part of the Grihasta's life. So as I said earlier, we see them as a gift of Krishna, and then how do we care for them? So, and then in Grihastha life, we see that women and men have different natures. Now, they're all not the same. So, women have this, caring nature. Women naturally, they have the tendency to serve. They have the tendency to nourish. They're very sensitive. One small things happen, a woman will start crying. It's a natural thing. It's not that everyone does it, but now men's natural tendencies are they tend to be a bit strong, but they also cry. They are also vulnerable. They also have desires. And men are physically stronger. So there are things that they can do that women can't do. There are things that women can do that men can't do. So in a Grihastha life, there is a way of complementing. So the man and the woman try to complement each other in doing their services for Krishna. So as we traverse through Grihastha life, then what happens? Tada rajastamo bhava kamalobhadayaschaye cheta etair anavidham stitam sattve prasidhati. As soon as irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of the nature's modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire and hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness and he becomes completely happy. So all these lustful desires, they slowly get removed. And then in that happy, calm and peaceful state of mind, one practices bhakti more intensely. Evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti yogataha bhagavad tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate. Thus established in the mode of unalloyed goodness, the man whose mind has been enlivened by contact with devotional service to the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. So it's a natural progression to liberation. But for us as devotees, what is liberation? Not just escaping material association or material desires, but engaging in Krishna's service. That is our liberation. That gets naturally awarded. And then what happens? Ato vai kavayo nityam bhaktim paramaya mudha vasudeve bhagavati kurvantyatma prasadanim. Certainly, therefore, since time immemorial, all transcendentalists have been rendering devotional service to Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, with great delight, because such devotional service is enlivening to the self. So when a person's mind is calm, peaceful, cheerful, then what happens? One engages more intensely in serving Krishna. So we saw that Chaitanya Sharan Prabhuji was saying, I am Krishna conscious. How can I make others Krishna conscious? How can I spread it to the wider community and make everyone around the world Krishna conscious? So with that focus, if we look at every living entity, whether it is a man or a woman or a horse or an elephant or a cockroach or an insect, we see that Krishna resides in the heart of everyone. Then what happens? We don't demonize anybody. We don't demonize a woman, nor do we demonize a man, nor do we get afraid of the cockroach, nor do we try to shun or run away from anything. But rather, we try to see everything in relation to Krishna. So, we'll end with this little 2 points. So, there was this point which I saw where Gaura Kishordas Babaji Maharaj, who is one of our Guru Parampara, he is one of our Acharyas, he said to a newly married man, I'm just quoting from here, and this applies to a man and a woman. Okay, so whatever we see here applies to both genders. A Vaishnava wife is extremely rare and difficult to find in this world. So that also applies to a Vaishnava husband, is also rare to find. If one has the good fortune of having one, he should see it as a benediction from Krishna. The wife worships the husband as her lord and master. Similarly, the husband should also worship the wife because she is Krishna Dasi, a servant of Krishna. In this way, the husband can protect his devotional enthusiasm by not considering his wife to be his maidservant, but she is always the maidservant of Krishna. That is Gopi Bhattu Padakamalayor Dasa Dasano Das. So we will conclude with this beautiful verse from Mukundamala Stotra by Kulashekar Alvar, where he says with a mode of complete surrender. What is Kulashekar Alvar says? O my Lord, I have no attachment for religiosity or for accumulating wealth or for enjoying sense gratification. Let these come as they inevitably must in accordance with my past deeds. So Kulashekara Alvar is saying, whatever according to my deeds I should get through my destiny, whether it is wealth or whatever he has said here, sense gratification, whatever it is, if it comes on its own accord, let it come as per its own accords. I am not seeking for it, nor am I rejecting it. As it comes, it will come. But what do I want? But I do pray for this most cherished boon. Birth after birth, let me render unflinching devotional service unto your two lotus feet. So that is the balanced view that we are getting from our Acharyas. So we'll chant this beautiful verse and we will conclude. Nasta dharme navasu nichaye naiva kamo pabhoge yad bhavyam tad bhavatu bhagavan purva karmanurupam etat pratyam mama bahumatam जन्म जन्मान्तरेऽपि त्वत्पादाम्बोरुहयुगगता निश्चला भक्तिरस्तु. Let us offer our prayer at the lotus feet of Shri Shri Radha Gopinath to bless us with unflinching devotional service at his lotus feet, no matter what happens in our life, no matter whom we interact with, no matter who comes into our life, we engage everyone in Shri Krishna's service. Jai Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Any questions? Yes. 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 So addictions are again something that people cannot just randomly give up. But what happens is when we take to the spiritual path, now when we start slowly chanting Krishna's names, so you can chant once, Hare Krishna, repeat. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So as we keep chanting, and slowly as we try to replace our addictions with a higher taste. Now, for example, if someone was addicted to, like drinking, it might be very hard for them to give up. But then, when they keep hearing about Krishna, like for example, today you have taken the step to come and hear Srimad Bhagavatam. Now there are something that you might take away home with you today. Yes? Some positive point you will take away from here. And that will stay with you. And that you will share with your friends. And then by coming into the association of devotees. So when you make friends with, say, with all these boys who are here. Are you all friends with him? Do you know him? Okay. Okay. Right. And so see how Krishna has drawn you to his lotus feet already. Someone told you and then you've come to the temple. So that way, Krishna is giving an opportunity for everyone, no matter what addictions they have, he brings them to his lotus feet out of his own sweet will. So when you make friends with, say, all these devotee boys, then they will help you. They can give you Bhagavad Gita. Not just you, I'm saying, like, your friends or anyone who has addictions. Then as you keep reading from the Gita, as you keep hearing, as you keep chanting, as you come to the temple and you start serving, slowly those addictions will leave you. So you don't have to leave the addiction, but the addiction will leave you. Because you will be getting a higher taste. You will start enjoying taking Krishna Prasad. Now earlier someone might be addicted to taking meat, but then slowly by taking prasadam, food that is offered to Krishna, and then when one starts eating, you will start loving and enjoying Krishna Prasad so much that all these meat-eating tendencies will go away. And when you make friendships with devotees, then what happens? Pure-hearted souls will come into your life. Then they will help to guide your life. then slowly what happens, you don't have to worry about any of all these addictions, which are natural. You know, everybody have. Men have different addictions, women have different addictions. You know, it's all there. So we're not trying to run away from it. But then Krishna will help you to address it. Krishna will help you to deal with it. And Krishna will give you such pure love for him that at one point in your life, you won't even remember that you had all those addictions. So just keep praying to Krishna, come to temple as often as you can. Just come here, take up some service, start reading Bhagavad Gita, and then slowly with the... Sure, yes, of course you can get Bhagavad Gita from here. So we have all these wonderful, devotees. They can help to give you Bhagavad Gita. Okay. Yes. Right. See, you have already made that step. Don't you think that is Krishna's help for you? Isn't it? Krishna is in your heart. Krishna, it is said, he is sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto. So Krishna is your best friend. It is said, Gadir Bharta Prabhu Sakshi. Nivasa Sharanam Suhrit. Suhrit means best friend. So even if you don't tell Krishna, Krishna knows what is in your heart. Krishna knows what is happening in your life. It's okay, let your emotions come out. We don't have to worry. Just can you sit next to him? Just sit next to him.
Recite all the glories, including predicting. They are the ones who say Krishna Varnam Tusha Krishnam Sangopangashra Parshadam, predicting even about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Finally, they conclude with one single verse. And if you continue to read, that verse actually epitomizes the relationship between the Supreme Lord and the devotee. They'll recite that, and the next verse will say, after having spoken about bhakti, they just left the place, being pleased with the king Nimi, like that it says. That verse they conclude saying,